What's up, dudes?
What's happening?
Oh, well, a lot. What are we getting into first?
I think we should
Let's talk about Coinbase.
leave Coinbase.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about leaving Coinbase. All right. So we've been at Coinbase for a long time, years. What was the original appeal of Coinbase? Why did we start there?
Because Bitcoin could have been a
Easiest for us to
scam.
get an account set up.
Easiest to get an account set up. And
Because security was a huge issue in the crypto space, and it was FDIC insured.
So it was the safest place for us to buy and hold and store and work with our Bitcoin at the time. And that's all we had was Bitcoin at the time. So what's the problem?
Fees have always been the problem. We've used Coinbase for as long as we have, despite the fees, because they offered us the security. But at this stage in the game, I don't think security is nearly as important as it was once before. Well, I mean, it's still super important, but a lot of people or a lot of entities have very secure means of acting as a custodian for Bitcoin. And so the other issue we have is 3-day withdrawals. That's pretty ridiculous in crypto.
Pretty anti-crypto.
And this is not the first time we've encountered that. So I think it's time we get with the times.
All right, so we started off with Coinbase. It's still there. Some issues, I guess. It's got a little bit higher fee structure. Withdrawals are an issue. So if we want to do anything when it comes to things that aren't available on Coinbase, it almost feels like the scales have tipped in the favor of keeping some stuff off Coinbase so we don't hit that 3-day withdrawal limit. I mean, the 3-day withdrawal lockup, basically, I don't know, over a certain amount, they put a hold on what you take out, and we're in a bull market. I think those things are probably in place because they're trying to prevent what happened in the past, which is overwhelming systems. And yeah, they're a bank now, but they've acted like a bank for a long time in that regard. But the whole promise of crypto is to be able to take your funds with you wherever you go. And I don't know if it's that we just don't have the right account type set up. It is an account that was created a long time ago. So, maybe I just need to contact some of those guys and have them really look into it. But yeah, it's been an issue with us, and I think that the original approach was the ability to vault or lock up your crypto assets or your Bitcoin, and kind of put a time delay on it. And that was beneficial to us. Just kind of knowing it was kind of a function of the creation of Pangea X, was to lock up a certain amount of Bitcoin and to just know we weren't going to touch it, to hodl. That's how we really got started, and that's why it's a thing, and that's why hodling is a good thing. But the space has evolved, the tools have evolved. Coinbase is not the only thing out there. They're not hands down more secure than everything else. More secure, whatever that meant back then and whatever it means now. So it's a different company now as well. And so are we. So yeah. What other options would there be? What do you guys have an interest in for the type of company that Pangea X is, what new services or companies kind of fit our vibe and what we're trying to do.
I think FTX US makes a lot of sense. I'm all for giving Sam Bankman-Fried all of our money, making him the richest person in the world. Totally cool with it. There is Gemini, but I really wouldn't fuck with them. I think they're pretty similar to Coinbase. But yeah, I would say FTX US would be my vote.
I like FTX. I like Binance for the pairs. There's just so much uncertainty around Binance, especially after their whole document that came out that showed the misdirection between trying to like hide from regulators by creating a bunch of different shell exchanges and not knowing actually where to be able to sue the company. But yeah, I'm good with FTX. I'm a big fan of Bitstamp. I mean, Bitstamp's the oldest exchange. It's never been hacked. And they have a lot of price stability. But they just don't have a lot of pairs right now. But yeah, I mean, I think Bitstamp and FTX from a safety alternative and limits and professionalism, I think both of those are good alternatives. And I probably lean towards FTX at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When I think of Bitstamp, I think of like true OG cryptos, like who have like thousands of Bitcoin that need that liquidity. Yeah, I've never really given serious thought about moving our stuff over there. But if we just are trying to hold Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatnot, then yeah, sure. But I think we do have a pretty wide ranging portfolio, and FTX would give us the best. And they're so nimble, actually. Like they add pairs all the time. They have maybe not on US, yeah, definitely not on FTX US, but they have HNT on some of their other platforms, and so I think we're best suited for FTX.
Is there any benefit to keeping a Coinbase account? And if so, in the event that we moved everything over to, another platform or several, would there be any point in keeping anything at Coinbase? And if so, what?
Records. Just the records.
But no funds? You don't need to keep any crypto there, or keep any liquidity there? Does Coinbase offer us any benefit over anything else that we would be able to, that we would place value on?
There are pairs that we have on Coinbase that are not available on FTX or on Bitstamp or possibly Binance US.
So maybe it makes sense to have allocations at several exchanges just to be able to get the pairs that we want when we want them, and not have to go transfer funds between exchanges as regularly as that. In other words, have liquidity or dry powder at every exchange that we're interested in.
Yeah. I just don't know how much dry powder, is necessary.
Well,
liquidity is also king on Coinbase, but we do have to pay crazy high fees.
Yeah, we talked about BlockFi as well, potentially as an option for what was it? I mean, like kind of like long-term holding to be able to earn interest, if we're interested in that sort of a thing. And we've got the ability to maybe, trade, as well. And I think that's a different consideration. Um, and then what kind of trading are we doing? So if we are concerned about fees, we probably wouldn't be doing active trading there. But yeah, I mean, I think we could maybe keep a little bit of, a little bit of dry powder and maybe have, a little bit of an open position or open trade in whatever particular pairs we liked there. So,
Speaking of BlockFi, Blockfolio, it offers trading now and interest, and Blockfolio has pretty much any pair that you could want. Like they've got all the good stuff that Coinbase doesn't have. They've got like Blockfolio. Let me throw the link in that chat so you pull up this.
yeah, Blockfolio could be
But
a good thing to look at.
But yeah, I mean they've got all. I mean, I guess they have the flexibility, being a wallet, of being able to add pairs that a centralized exchange really has problems or regulatory concerns adding.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be something for us to look into as well.
Blockfolio is just an app, right? There's no desktop version of it.
It says Get App on the desk, like when I'm looking at it. Yeah. But I mean, there are hundreds. I mean, even Walton chains on Blockfolio.
Old Walton chain. What is that? Sitting at about a 350 market cap right now, right? Or like sitting at number 353 is what I meant. Yeah, it's hanging in there. It's funny. I was looking at it and I was just reminiscing.
Yeah, we sold the bottom on that one.
We probably put it in. I don't know. We probably put it in some good names though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we'll definitely look at exchanges. Let's. You guys want to talk about ETH? I kind of do. Something's happening. So I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of stuff in the chatter. Just around. I think that maybe something's happening. Might be a favorable move for us. I think we've been looking at ETH to move for a while. I really kind of thought it would come a little bit later. First, I thought it would come earlier. Then I thought it would come later. I don't know where we are in the whole cycle, but here we are with ETH, all-time highs, above 2,500. And it looks strong. And it looks like the rest of the crypto space seems to be kind of, when a beast awakens, everybody notices. Where are we going from here?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of excitement with ETH right now. I think I agree with you, Rishi. But honestly, I don't want it to just go vertical. Like I really don't want it to just go straight up. I'd rather it be like this steady rise, kind of like what Bitcoin did in 2017, going from 1,000 to 20K. It took the entire year to do that. And there was several like spots to dump that scared retail out. And so I kind of hope that's what happens to Ethereum here. That being said, we've been consolidating in this range, specifically on the ETH-BTC pair for over 1,000 days. So breaking out of that level will likely have very large consequences. And so I'm just happy to see it happen.
Tyler, you're on mute.
So I just shared what I drew when we purchased the Ethereum, and so like that's kind of what I had modeled out at that time.
So
I'm
would
hoping that
imply
we make
we're
that
ahead of
run
schedule.
for that. Huh?
That would imply that you're saying that we're ahead of what you had scheduled at that point.
Yeah, we're ahead. We're ahead of where I thought we were going, but I mean it's still holding up pretty strong, like true to form. Like if you look at the slope compared to like the slope, I mean that's a pretty strong slope. I mean I think we're going to find some pretty tough resistance here at this 0.55 level.
I agree with that.
And then I think that after we've cleared that resistance, you know, I think we run up more closer to this 0.86, and then we come back and retest the 0.55.
So that 0.55 level at $60,000 Bitcoin would give us $3,300 ETH.
I think it's a magnet.
A magnet, meaning you think that level is a magnet?
Yes, a magnet to price, like against Bitcoin, because it's just slightly above 0.005.
So a peg almost, like a certain local parity.
Well, it's like an inflection point. Like, is it worth 0.05 or below, or is it worth more than 0.05? And if it's worth more than 0.05, then the next target is 0.1.
Is that okay? So that's I was going to ask that. So above that, what makes sense? What's the next make sense point? And I mean, a 0.1. That's 10 Ethereum for a Bitcoin at $100,000 Bitcoin. You know, that's $10,000 Ethereum, right? When was the last time we got 0.1?
You've got like price movement and magnitude, right? So you've got that like it goes up an order of magnitude, adds a digit, and then that's a 1, right? And then you've got the numbers below that fight to make that a 2. Once that becomes a 2, then the next target's a 5 or above a 5. You know, and it's just like, and you just keep doing that. You just keep extrapolating that out.
So the last time we actually went up to 0.1, middle of 2018, after the highs of 2017 and the come down, people were still throwing money into alts and stuff like that in early 2018. Looks like a big move into ETH after April. And then we've been kind of coming back down from there. I don't know how far back that chart goes, but what happened before that? Okay, so we climbed right there. So ETH spiked after the peaks of 2017 in its Bitcoin value. So what does that tell us? Because have we peaked? Has Bitcoin peaked, or is this a different type of thing now? Is this part of the peak this time around? Guess it depends.
I don't know if Bitcoin's peaked. If will you show the chart, the Bitcoin USD, the 1 second chart?
Yeah, like if Bitcoin if we think that Bitcoin has peaked and we're at the top of the cycle, then this would mirror history. But if you don't think Bitcoin has peaked, then what the hell is ETH doing climbing against Bitcoin like this? Something, something else is going on.
This is wicked. Like, this is wicked. Somebody is absorbing all, like, somebody's trying to dump Bitcoin here at $50-something thousand, and somebody else is saying, I will take all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
they
is
sold
stupid.
2,000 Bitcoin at 5% below market value, and that's what that looks like.
I mean, okay. So all it takes is whoever this machine is soaking up all the excess that anybody's making available. What happens when there's no excess anymore? He's got to creep up those that buy wall. He's got to creep it up, and if you don't have anybody step in, this is the resisting force, right? This is the resisting force right here. So who's selling right here? We've been at these levels for such a long time. How many more people are going to sell between 50 and 60? You've got to be exhausting all the buyers. I mean, all the, like 70. Like, how about that? Then you're going to have some new people jump in. But
2013ers. 2013ers, they have always been the sellers. They've always been the sellers, and they're still the sellers. Like, the 2013ers I know are getting down to their last few Bitcoin, and it's like they're waiting to buy the dip. But like, the OGs now have less Bitcoin than the people that came in 2015 and 16.
yeah, this chart is stupid.
Yeah, so I mean, I think going back, even if we see some volatility here on Bitcoin, I don't expect us to really stay there for very long. I think there's only like 2 million Bitcoin left to be mined, which is ridiculous. Having been in the space for as long as we have, to say that there's only 2 million left. So I think, Suzu makes the point about how, this is the time where, 2017 was the hype cycle for this super cycle, because now we actually have the applications that can process, maybe not exactly and like scale to what it needs to be, but the technology is here and it's usable right now. And so it's the time of crypto. So as far as Bitcoin's concerned, it's the basis of this entire ecosystem. There's no way it's going to go down with the amount of demand we're seeing. I'm not going to say there's no way, but yeah, it really wouldn't make sense given the trajectory we're on, and especially when we see ETH outperform Bitcoin. That's always, historically at least, been a signal that money is flowing in. It's risk on. And so, when it's risk on, the price really shouldn't stop. Just the combination of all these factors, in my mind, means that we should still be going up. We might consolidate for a while, but money's still flowing into the system. It's not going directly into Bitcoin right now, but it's still definitely flowing in, and it will eventually flow back to Bitcoin in some capacity.
I think what's happening now is, you've got a few different really powerful forces. You have people who have been in the space for a long time. They've got Bitcoin. They've been very, very well aware of ETH and what ETH is. ETH has evolved, and it continues to evolve at a much faster pace than Bitcoin, and you would expect that just from its place in the space. But then you've also got all this new money coming in, and most of the new money that's come in over, the last maybe couple of years has been into Bitcoin, and that was kind of the entry, the big pearly gates into crypto space. And we've got a couple other gates now, but I mean, really, I think everybody still enters through those main gates. And you do have a lot of people, even though it's not being put out there, you do have a lot of people and companies and corporations and big entities and nation states buying Bitcoin. You also have them buying Ethereum. If you know anything about crypto space, you know that Ethereum is very, very useful, and it's going to be something very, very important. So eventually that money does flow into Ethereum, and there's probably some money flowing directly into Ethereum as well now. But I think the biggest thing is that all the people who have been in crypto have largely already accumulated some positions into ETH, some base positions in ETH, because you have to have some ETH. You have to have a little bit of everything these days. And if that's the case, you definitely need some ETH with your Bitcoin. But I think that what you're seeing now is kind of another crowd forming, some murmuring, things going on, in conversations everywhere, where the whole crypto space, the alt community, the Bitcoin community, the Ethereum community in particular, even though they're already there. But I think the next roundtable is in ETH land, and I think everybody who's already got liquid, dynamic resources in the space, most of them are already in ETH, but I think like most of their bags aren't. And I think that's what we're about to see. Everybody knows exactly where the ETH door is. But once all the people that are already in, I think that's the tipping point, because it's kind of like everything's loaded up. All that outside money is flowing in, but it's the money on the inside that's going to decide when the scales go that way. And that's where you're going to get the most magnitudinal changes. It looks like that's what's happening with ETH.
Well, the guys in the Ring community have been talking about it for years now, that like the tipping point was Bitcoin on Ethereum. And then not just people that hold Bitcoin trusting to put it on Ethereum, but people who can afford to buy Bitcoin at $50, $60, $100,000 and then trust the solution to wrap that Bitcoin and put it on Ethereum to generate yield. And it's just like, when you start seeing percentages of the Bitcoin ecosystem wrapped and on the Ethereum blockchain, then that's like, I mean, that's just like exponential growth. And, just not to change topics, but Rose said something earlier that got me thinking about, there's only 2 million Bitcoin or so left to be mined, or there's more than that. But like, Digibyte has just hit 2/3 of their crypto mined, which would put them at a trajectory of Bitcoin in mid to late 2015 from like a supply side. And that's right before Bitcoin went on its real big tear, is right after it had hit 2/3 of the supply actually mined. And Digibyte has like 10 times the functionality of Bitcoin and is more secure. And so like, I don't know. I just got like chubby. Sorry.
Coming back to ETH, one of the things Kobe maybe retweeted was just kind of some of the fundamentals about Ether that are coming up and what that's like, and try to equate that into Bitcoin terms. And it's just like post-merge, when Ethereum goes from proof of work to proof of staking, ETH sell pressure will drop 90%. And that's the equivalent of like undergoing 3 halvings in a matter of 12 months. just with EIP 1559, all the proof of stake or all the proof of work doesn't go to the miners anymore. Rewards get chopped in half or way more than half. Ethereum starts being burned. And then we have like Ethereum 2.0 coming out. All of that makes me just so bullish for Ethereum. And I truly think that Ethereum will flip Bitcoin. I was coming back.
Hold on. When you say that, Ethereum flip Bitcoin, which you mean market cap or what?
Yeah, not in price, but in market cap.
I guess Doge technically flipped Tether. So the hell does that mean?
Above Bitcoin. But coming back to my analogy a couple weeks ago, maybe about Bitcoin being digital gold and the rest of the market being the stock market, and the stock market being multiples larger than gold. I was thinking about that more, and there's like most of the top 100 coins on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap are like applications on top of Ethereum. So in a way, Ethereum is the stock market in my mind. And like there's different stock markets, there's like the London Stock Exchange and all these others, and that's like Solana, and then there's Binance, Smart Chain, and Cosmos and all these other things. But it really does seem like Ethereum is like the New York Stock Exchange or something along those lines. And it could
it's the most
be
legit one.
Yeah, it could just be
it's got its issues. Sorry, it's got its issues. It's got high fees. It's got, but it's true. It's truly what it says it is, whereas other stuff is a little bit more like centralized or a little bit more just kind of like, okay, functions. But I mean, long term, I feel like the ETH ecosystem is very, very promising and really like the legitimate, potentially the most legitimate of the quote unquote stock exchanges.
And guys, I sent my friend an NFT on ETH yesterday for his birthday. And like, I don't think like we take it for advantage because like I use ETH every day. Like ETH's just like a part of my day, right? And so it's just like, we take advantage how powerful ETH is. And, sending tokens from wallet to wallet, like the normal average day retail plebe is not going to like, they're going to think, oh, well, how do we know that some tokens weren't just created out of thin air? And like, how do we know that these are the same? And they're not going to take the time to understand hashes and transactions. But an NFT, a one-for-one item, I sent it from my wallet to my friend's wallet. He received it. It was the exact same thing that he saw that I had in my wallet. He got it in his. He could see that it was sent from my wallet and that it was no longer in my wallet, but it was in his wallet. And like he got it within a few minutes. And like you take that and then say, well, the same thing's happening with these coins, the same thing's happening with this tether, the same thing. Like it's not your bank account where there's just like money in a computer and they just like move. Like this is actual, like this is real, and you can show it. And it was like, it was so powerful just I guess doing that and just seeing it happen, and it just like happening exactly how it's supposed to happen, and like there being no errors, no flaws, and I don't know. I think that that's going to be so powerful as people experience that for the first time.
Yeah, man, I think you're really onto something there. I mean, it's kind of like think about the eBay days, the early eBay days. Think about how, like, I don't know if you ever tried to sell anything on eBay or buy anything off eBay. I was trying to buy like subwoofers for my car when I was 15, and like, just worrying about like, okay, so am I going to get it? Are these pictures of the actual thing? And then when you get it, you're like, aha, yes, cool, it worked just the way it was supposed to. But like that was all the trouble that we went through for a transaction. And what you're describing, what I'm hearing right now is um, like everything you need, but instant to exchange something that you want. And what if it's like a picture, that you want to put on your wall, even if it is something that there's an unlimited supply of, right? Like that Bitcoin canvas on your wall, Tyler, is pretty badass, but they could just print more of them. But that doesn't take away any of its value. People will still pay a reasonable price for that badass piece of artwork. But I think what you're explaining is like the power behind the ability to transact on the blockchain and knowing and getting that feeling and just knowing everything worked the way that it should.
And so the way that this NFT worked is when you purchase the NFT, you're actually able to get a physical, like, framed piece of art. And so when I purchased the NFT and exchanged it for that art, I got the code to redeem it for that free piece of art. When I sent it to him, since he didn't purchase it, and the art dealer wasn't paid a commission for the sale, his coupon code was my coupon code. So he wasn't able to, like, I didn't realize that was how that was going to work. I thought that maybe we had tricked the system and that I could just transfer it and get another copy. But no, he's got to pay $60 to get it because he didn't buy it from me.
You're saying that the coupon code that came with the original purchase of the NFT art, that coupon code that was used by the original purchaser, when that art was transferred, that used coupon code was still attached to the art.
It wasn't purchased, it was transferred.
So you couldn't trick the system. And basically, that just goes to prove that there's only, that's the only one. That's the whole point of NFTs is, apply it to, use a coupon function to apply it to a real world thing that proves the proof. So that's pretty cool. If that works, that's just like saying, okay, cool, we'll check my work. I bet you can't do this. How will that, where do you see that evolving? How do you see that becoming a thing? Like, sounds like
contracts,
royalties. Yeah.
Contracts.
Yeah.
Taking a step back, did we decide on FTX or Blockfolio?
No, we didn't decide. Probably, I'm going to look into both of those. I think those are the two that jumped up to the top. We did mention also BlockFi. We'll see where we're at with that. But I mean, yeah, we'll have to kind of dig in, and I think probably everybody's going to have to figure out what we want to do and what kind of strategies, and if we want to keep anything in Coinbase. So we'll kind of keep on talking about that.
Yeah, I think if I could just add a few things. I would say FTX. My vote is FTX because Blockfolio is now pretty much just an application on FTX, so you might as well go to the base layer. So between those two, I would definitely choose FTX. I think we can keep. Actually, no. If we decide not to do FTX, then I think we should at least consider moving all of our funds from Coinbase to a ledger. I think we all have ledgers, and so it's really just a better place to store it. We'll have more security over it. We'll have, our own keys, and so we can do whatever we want with it, and that involves moving it to Coinbase whenever we need liquidity. We won't be able to necessarily put sell triggers and buy triggers if we do that. But at the same time, for the stuff we do have, we can keep it on an exchange, and for the stuff we want to hold or potentially move around, we should we could put it on a ledger. But between all of that, my vote is still to do FTX. I think it's just going to be the best of all worlds.
So FTX didn't have a lot of the pairs that we own. That was the problem with FTX. And when it comes to a ledger and sending it back to Coinbase, my concern there is what Coinbase likes to do is they will let you deposit your funds on their exchange, and then they won't give you any access to those funds until you give them sufficient proof of where those funds were generated, how you came about so it's like that's my big concern with taking things off of Coinbase. Like, as long as we leave it in their ecosystem, we're good. I mean, we do have the withdrawal notifications and everything, but it's just like, once you take it out of Coinbase's ecosystem, getting it back into Coinbase's ecosystem proves to be a little bit more difficult. And they'll take your money, but then, like, you just won't have access. And with Blockfolio, I like the pairs flexibility, but from what I read, they lost a ton of money. They're losing money, like they're losing money like crazy. So, I don't think that's a whole large concern, but like it is concerning.
Yeah, that's just the business model of big tech, and I think that's being applied to crypto now specifically. And this is Sam we're talking about. So that's not really a huge concern for me. At least the losing, or the fact that they're burning cash quickly to onboard new customers. But as far as Coin is concerned, I'm all for getting rid of leaving that entire ecosystem. It's not like they have a pair that can't be traded on the DEX. It's as simple as that. And yeah, the fees might be, or the spread might be a little bit higher on a DEX, but it's still much quicker, much faster. It's like we get confirmation immediately. We're generally not trying to skim 1 or 2%. We're okay not worrying about that. So that's where I stand on that. It's been really frustrating, the last couple times we've had this issue. So
I mean, it costs us like 30-40% on a move.
Yeah, that's not what you want. That's not what you want. That's a lot. But to have to be 3 days, I mean, I guess it's on them, and I guess it's on us too. It's not like we haven't had this problem before. We're in the same situation. So, I guess we could have anticipated a move, or at least had some dry powder in some other places. We'll be a little bit more prepared now, but yeah, that one kind of caught us off guard. At the same time, it's a situation that we want to just, in any way try to avoid. Just in general, you never want to be locked up in your funds. It's like not having funds. You never want to be not able to, in crypto space, you need to be able to get into whatever you're trying to get. That's the beauty of it. And having a centralized lock on stuff is very, very problematic in a lot of ways. So yeah, let's look into it. What else do we have on the I want to talk about Doge a little bit, if you guys are ready for that. All right, so it looks like Doge right now is sitting at a market cap number 7. It's climbed all the way to 3. A week or two ago, it's settling back down right around above a quarter here. Took a pretty big hit of about 10 or 15% in the last 12 hours. Traditionally, Doge running kicks off alt season. Is that what's happening right now? And the sell-off, is that basically why everything else is pumping? Or am I being naive?
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. And like I posted in the chat last week, people don't realize that Dogecoin is only mined through mining Litecoin. So now all these Litecoin miners are sitting on hefty, or and if they sold, they're sitting flush with cash from this Dogecoin pump. And I mean, the amount of profit they're making off the Dogecoin that they're mining is ridiculous. It's absurd. So, you know, Litecoin's got to go. And if Litecoin goes, that's money's going to flow out into everything, because I mean, think about the psychology of somebody who mines Litecoin, right? Like, you're not a Bitcoin maximalist, you're mining Litecoin. So where does that money go?
Who is that, Tyler? Who is mining Litecoin? When you, yeah, I've never thought about that, but now I think about it, I'm like, who is that?
There was
Who
that
mines
one. There
Litecoin?
was one guy back in the early days that had 15 to 20% of the hash power. It was this one Chinese gentleman that like he was a big, like, I remember when Litecoin had a protocol update, and they were doing, it might have been the SegWit stuff or one of the things first. Basically, it didn't look like they were going to have enough hash power to signal. And Charlie Lee reached out to this one guy directly, and basically he upgraded his the software that he was running, and it was an instant upgrade after that, and it went real smooth.
So one more question for you, Tyler. Litecoin and Dogecoin are, I might get the term wrong, bridge mined? Is that what it's called? They're bridged together or something like that, to where
They're
they're
merge
merge mined.
mined. Yeah, they
Merge
use the
mined.
same
Okay.
script. So basically, the miner is using one script, and that script is like it's so like it's running both softwares, the Dogecoin software and the Litecoin software, and they're using the same script to mine both.
So as you're running your Litecoin miner, you are mining Doge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why? Why? And who are you? If you're mining Litecoin and mining Doge, who are you?
2013, 2014 OG, like big, you had a bunch of crypto, you decided to diversify, and yeah, you thought you were probably like initially a Bitcoin maximalist, and you probably didn't switch over to Ether, right? That's why you keep mining Litecoin. But yeah, probably some OG 2013, pre 2013 OGs.
Okay, that makes sense.
F2 pool mines a lot of Litecoin.
All right, so now, so you've got Litecoin miners and Dogecoin miners, and come back what you were saying. All these Litecoin miners are mining Doge, and they've got all this capital generation, right? Like, if you're mining Litecoin right now, you've seen a run on the price of Doge, probably making bank. But you're still mining Litecoin at the equivalent, the same relative. If it's the same script and you're merge mining it, I mean, you're not changing your ratios. You're mining the same, as much of both as you can. So the hash rates should not correlate here to the price action at all, from the mining perspective, which means that unless people have jumped into mining Dogecoin and Litecoin just in the last month or so, which I don't think has happened, you should see pretty consistent hash rates regardless of these wild swings in the price of Dogecoin. So does that have anything to do, or the sales from these, or what am I going to do with all this Dogecoin? Let me get more Litecoin, or why do you say that Litecoin is going to follow because of that relationship?
Litecoin looks sexy.
It does. Is it the Doge miners that are going to make it run? Who made Doge run? Just the market ran into Doge, and then
Well,
like,
there was the document that what circulated around when I first got into crypto that was written by Wolong. And basically he talked about like how to run a pump and dump and like how to do it. And he did it with Doge, and he explained the process of how he manufactured that original Doge pump that started alt season. And the thing is like that cycled into Digibyte, Siacoin, and Litecoin, you know, and it's like, and then that just waterfalled from there. But it's like, who's to say that the guy's not doing it again? Who's to say that Elon's not Wolong? You know, like, or maybe the guy that runs F2 pools Wolong. I mean, who knows?
What is Litecoin? What purpose does Litecoin serve in this?
Initially, it was just a test net for Bitcoin, but now it's like a Mimblewimble based privacy currency. It's like a Zcash competitor without smart contracts.
As a Zcash maximalist, I would say my answer to Litecoin having like privacy isn't a feature. In Cash, it's got to be the core proponent, and so you can build out a bunch of features. But if you have like Monero is not truly private, or I'm sorry, yeah, because they do like when you send a transaction, they send a bunch of fake transactions along with it, and it says these transactions could possibly be one of the actual transactions they are. And so if you have a way to confirm that one of these transactions is the actual transaction, then your privacy is compromised. So I think with Litecoin and Mimblewimble, I don't see them as like a true Zcash competitor, but they are adding functionality to be much more than just a Bitcoin test net now. And now we don't have Charlie Lee to dump on us when the price really starts to rally.
Man, people have had a long time to just sit around and accumulate Zcash bags. Just keep on adding, sprinkling a little bit in your bag here and there. You know, dump a little bit of more Zcash in your bags over there.
That is like a 30 to like that is just a 30 to 40x that just is people, it's just being given to people. And
man, I wish we had some of that. We do.
Buying and holding Zcash is like one of the hardest things to have done throughout the entirety of being in crypto, and therefore it will also be the most rewarding.
Yeah, you got to go through some pain if you want that shit.
There's a meme that goes around the Zcash community. 1 Zcash equals 7 Bitcoin. I'm not gonna say it's true or not, but yeah, it's like the HTTPS to Bitcoin's HTTP. So,
dude, it feels like this alt season right now that we're getting ready for. You know, Doge popped off, right? And now it's like, what's going to run next? But I think I mean, everybody's going to start moving. It's kind of like when it's like we're all at the starting line. So I think this might take a little while though. I don't know if it's imminent, Zcash.
So I just had a flashback to 2017, and towards the end of it, you know, if this is a true alt season, everything pumps, right? Everything pumps. And so I remember thinking back in 2017, you know, we had take profits, and we took profits along the way and whatnot. But when everything pumps, you're actually better off just holding, you know, until everything pumps. and then selling all of it, you know. And I don't suggest we do that because I think our engines are working really well, and we're reallocating capital really well. But yeah, I think there is some truth to just being patient and understanding, like, yeah, we had alt season in 2017, and it lasted a couple months, maybe up to a year for some things. This alt season could be like a 3-year time frame. And so it's not going to just necessarily happen overnight like Dogecoin did. And even Doge didn't happen overnight. You know, it had its initial pump to 8 cents, but then, you know, it consolidated for a good bit and then rallied even further.
Yeah. Where do you guys see Doge kind of settling? I mean, is it going to kind of sell off and really sit out the rest of the? We're going to sit out the rest of the season. What's a fair price for Doge considering the price of what we think everything is running to now? You know, did Doge jumping up just kind of set the new platform, the new base sea level for what's to come, or is that just kind of an anomaly that it's still up there and we're going back down to, you know, a penny or whatever?
I don't think we're ever going back down
All
to a penny. I think
my friends are still holding.
Go ahead, Dallas.
None of them are selling. Like they refuse. Like I've talked to them all. They all know that I sold, and like they refuse to sell before $1. They refuse to. It doesn't matter if it goes back down or not. I'm begging them not to put more money into it. Like a lot of them want to add to the position, and they believe it's going to $1. And you know, they asked me like, do you think it's going to $1? And it's just like, well, yeah, of course I think it's going to $1, but when, right? Like, but when? So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing that blows my mind is that they all have conviction, and you know, most of them think I'm an idiot for selling. Like, so.
Well, what's the how would you characterize that type of investor in the group that you're talking about that's not wanting to sell below $1? What type of investors are those? Because I don't think we would have
like retail stock investors, people who don't have any technical analysis background. They may pay for a newsletter to let them know what stocks they need to be trading. And other than that, they've got their other bags, their retirement portfolio that they're just never going to sell. That really, it's just like they just like the company and they think the company is going to be successful in the future. You know, it's like, you know, one of our friends is really obsessed with Theta. And it's just like, he believes that like Theta is going to overtake YouTube. And it's like, it doesn't matter what percentage Theta is up from where it was a few months ago. It's like he believes that it's going to overtake YouTube, and so it's like he's willing to put some money in it and just let it sit and not really care if it goes up or down. And I think those are the people that are coming in.
Supercycle.
What does that mean? Supercycle. Yeah, and you know, Supercycle. What does that mean? Actually, I mean, we throw that word around very carefully. It's like we're afraid to like say it too loud.
I think all it means
I think it means 1 Zcash equals 7 Bitcoin.
I think it means what Suzu says, and it's just crypto has finally arrived to meet the hype. You know, it's finally worth the hype. 2017, it wasn't quite worth the hype, but it is now. And so I think that's all that means. And I think the days of having 80+% drawdowns on fundamentally valuable assets, let's just say Bitcoin, Ethereum, several others, maybe Dogecoin now, I think the days of 80% drawdowns are gone.
For the big stuff. I mean, but that's also going to be a function of the additional liquidity and the increasing number of participants in the market. That amplifies the number of cross moves and tends to dampen the effect until you start having these big herds start to form, these big, I mean, we tend to break off into like-minded groups. We tend to safety in numbers. And the same thing happens in markets. With all this new money flowing in, I think that's kind of the super cycle. The super cycle is about mass acceptance, and not mass acceptance from a population standpoint, but mass acceptance from a participation standpoint. People who are participating in the financial markets of the world have all now started to find out about this. If you are in markets, generally, you're either in Forex or stocks. And then if you're really old, bonds. But other than that, you might be in other stuff, but you're in that. Rare to find somebody who's just in the horse market, just in art, that kind of stuff. You've kind of got something that you branched off from, and part of that core investment, financial global ecosystem now is crypto. So if there was a financial cycle of any kind, that's going to lead super cycles and everything. But in crypto now, you've got connections to all the markets in the world. So liquidity is infinite. What does that mean? That's what allows for a super cycle. Infinite liquidity.
And to add on that, why this just happened. The governor of Wyoming just signed into effect that DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, can now be recognized as LLCs in the state of Wyoming.
Talk about that. What does that mean? What is a DAO?
A DAO, is just a decentralized governance structure that allows people to hold proportions like equity and make decisions based on their equity through voting and smart contract and that kind of stuff. And it's just now they're going to get favorable tax, they're going to be treated like an LLC.
Is that favorable, or is that just a tax grab from the state of Wyoming?
Well, you get protection.
I think it's favorable because now you can write things off as expenses.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, it is a trade-off. You pay your taxes, but you also get certain protections and benefits from being a registered entity. And so I think what I think about when it, is, we take a group of, you're basically legitimizing crypto. It's basically saying, okay, we'll allow this, we'll regulate it, we'll give this its own designation, we'll allow you entity to participate and form it, and you'll owe your taxes, but at the same time we'll recognize you as a fully registered entity. That from a setting up a business, because you're an entrepreneur, setting up a business or corporation and enterprise, any sort of dreams that we have in America to build something of your own, that legal registration is a core function of that. That's what gives you your rights to participate freely, pay your taxes. Don't violate your right as a business to your protections. You get you get certain, if you don't have a legal entity, you don't have certain legal protections. And so that is a very, very core function to any business. The first thing that you do when you go and start a business, if it's a real business, if it's just a hobby that you're, moving into, okay, cool, time to set it up in a business. But if you're going to go out with a business plan put a little bit of money towards something and open up a bank account. Well, if you're even planning on opening up a bank account for your business, you've got to register with the state and the federal government. That's a good thing. And so this is overall, I think, a positive bridge. It's interesting to me that the DAOs were what really made the most sense. But it does make sense because part of that legal entity is a governance structure. Even if it's just you going and setting up a lemonade stand and, calling it, To the Moon Lemonade. Well, To the Moon Lemonade LLC, the same thing applies. It's the first thing that you do, and you are the boss. You are the only person on that LLC. It's just you, but you have to sign certain things saying that you are the president or the owner. You're also the secretary. You are also, all these other requirements for governance. Individuals are self-governed. Entities need to be governed by individuals or by, whatever common rule set has been laid out. So that's a really, really, really powerful thing. I hope it works. It is extremely significant. And if it's the best model, which, look, a governance token, and Tyler, you could probably talk a little bit more about it, but a blockchain applied to voting is the way I kind of look at it, applying rules or whatever. But that is essential in any sort of future organization to at least be a part of it. So as a core function of creating an LLC, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes to any type of organization. I know that I own a lot of like DAO related web real estate around mortgages, because I believe that like the ability to get a mortgage through a DAO is going to be like one of the things that helps unlock the housing market from its current gridlock. Because DAOs are going to be able to take much riskier investments on mortgages than a bank is. A DAO is going to be able to make a decision and buy a house because they want that property and they don't even care about the tenant. And DAOs are going to be able to get higher interest rates. Maybe the interest on a traditional mortgage through a house is 1.5%, but maybe you can't get that because you don't have above a 750 credit score and no debt. And so you got to go through a DAO to get a mortgage, and it's going to cost you 9% interest. But like, that's the only way you can get the house you want.
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot, and I don't think a whole lot of people know a whole lot about DAOs. It's probably a little bit more of a boring subject. I'd rather talk about, Doge and what the next shit coin's going to be, right? I mean, it's not hard. It's not challenging, so it's fun. But, I think there's a lot to DAOs. I don't think a lot of people know about them. I definitely want to do some more research, but
But think about the super cycle that creates when when all these DAOs get created, and like you've got proof of stake, plus you have the EIPs, and then all of a sudden now DAOs are able to create LLCs in the US. And what would you create a DAO on? Would you create it on Polkadot? Would you create it on? No, you're going to create it on Ethereum, and you got to fund the DAO somehow, right? And it's like you're either going to fund it with ETH, or you're going to fund it with wrapped Bitcoin, or you're going to fund it with Tether. And it's just like, that's just going to take more supply off the market.
But you get a liquidity token in return. And so you're supplying the market. You're adding supply to the market as well. So it's kind of balanced in that regard.
I'm talking about for the price of ETH. And
yeah,
the liquidity token, and the liquidity token starts off at a 0 day, right? So like it runs up as well.
I think that's a pretty good transition into DeFi. I think we do have some positions we are thinking about taking. Our Solana sell trigger hit overnight yesterday, so so we do have some Bitcoin that freed up. I think we saw in the chat we were thinking about Zcash, padding our positions in Zcash, RSR, and Wi-Fi. I was looking at some just metrics, and Zcash has run up a significant amount. Not a significant amount. I think there's still plenty of room to go. But you know, we're at 250 or so, $250 right now. We were trading at like sub $80 in 3 or 4 months ago. So you know, we've had some pretty solid price appreciation already. As far as RSR is concerned, we're still hovering around 10 cents, which is a pretty solid entry point, I think. My concern there is the fully diluted valuation of RSR right now puts it at $10 billion, which is substantial. And I was just trying to look at the reserve token that goes along with it, and I don't see a lot of adoption for RSV right now. And I think those two are really tied together. So I like our position as it stands right now, and we're definitely sitting in profit, which is great. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about adding to the position. And then looking at Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi really hasn't had tremendous price appreciation. We're still kind of hovering on the bottom. Maybe not the bottom. You know, we're at $50,000. But like on a Bitcoin basis specifically, you know, we've definitely sold off a ton, and I fully expect Wi-Fi to rebound to all-time highs at some point by the end of this cycle. DeFi really hasn't gotten started. Like the DeFi summer of 2020, you know, hasn't really gotten kicked off yet. So I think Wi-Fi would be my preference there. However, I do want to throw out, you know, we do have a pretty sizable position there already. Does it make sense exploring some other names? And if so, I spent this morning just covering 4 names that I'm potentially interested in. But we don't have to go over that if you guys just want to pad current positions.
Let me ask a question if I can. Maybe 2 questions, but I'll start with this. So alt season, okay. Yeah, we talk about alt season. It's been years, you know. I mean, we had a few damp kind of like fake outs, but DeFi summer, I'm hearing that more and more. And I feel like, well, what is DeFi summer? Is that what happened in DeFi last summer, which was kind of like a mini alt season within the DeFi community, driven by smart contract development and ETH? And are we thinking like, okay, well, maybe that's going to happen again. Maybe we're going to do another DeFi summer, much like the alt season springtime bloom of April. And then if all that is actually a thing, and I'm not just misinterpreting everything, like what happens? What happens during DeFi summer, and what does that even mean? Alt season, everything spikes. What is DeFi summer?
So I think DeFi happened during the summer, like because crypto people step away for the summer, but DeFi was driven by a lot of these VCs and people that are doing this like this is their job. Like they've got people year round who work for them that are managing assets that like they're not managing their own assets, they're managing assets for their company. And like this is they're not stepping away for the summer. They're not taking 3 months off and traveling Europe. But a lot of crypto OGs do. And a lot of crypto people miss DeFi. You know, it was a very small group that really got in early. And it was a small group of OGs and VCs. And that was who got in DeFi. And so I think that's why like it was in the summer. And I think that's why we have a good chance of it happening in the summer again. But, you know, that's speculation.
To add to your point, the crypto we like that kind of stuff. We like storylines. We like to gather where we gathered before. And you know, we're kind of nomadic, but you know, we know where we know where everybody ends up at certain points where it's worth being. So I could definitely totally see that. And wouldn't that be amazing to the crypto timeline of things every year? You know, alt season, like having a thing called DeFi summer. Alt season leads into DeFi summer. Cool. All right, so there could be, you know, a break in between, but what we're doing is we're almost saying, okay, well that April to, you know, April to the spring to summer type thing, we're more likely to have a more pronounced alt season. We're more likely to have a pronounced seasonal recurrence, and that's good for markets. If you think about what you studied and learned, wasn't it sell in May and go away or whatever, and then like January's the whatever, you know, just the stuff that you know you kind of learned, and well, we're living that before the trends or patterns will be written about, right? It's kind of like birds fly south for the winter. Well, they had to do that for hundreds of years before anybody wrote it down. So right now we're kind of feeling out what are the ebbs and flows, the swings, the momentum, the ups and downs of these crypto markets as they evolve. And then they're going to write about this shit.
Yeah, if I could add a couple things. So like I've been listening to podcasts and everything, and one of the things that like the key innovation of DeFi is it takes contracts, right? Highly technical contracts, and makes them usable for the masses, right? It like, you know, like all of these smart contracts, like every single one of them is super, super technical, and you would pay lawyers thousands of dollars to make sure that they're readily like that you could use them like and be okay. But now if you're like part of the masses, then you see, oh, there's like total value locked has billions of dollars in this smart contract. Okay, I trust my couple $1,000s into this, so I'll throw that in here. And so like that's kind of the mindset that DeFi has allowed the masses to have, because it brings this incredibly technical knowledge and it disperses it, and it's kind of like just very I don't know, it's I don't know, it's so liberating for people, for the people. And so that's the first like real use case that why I'm like so inspired by DeFi, and why again like most of my time goes into researching this stuff. Second, it's at 5.7 dominance. DeFi is at a 5.7% dominance right now relative to the entire crypto market sphere, and I think that can go 10 times from here. So it is, and again, like what Tyler said, this happened last year. It's pretty still brand new. There's still a lot of people on the sidelines, and so I think there's still a lot of upside in a lot of DeFi projects. And then lastly, the timing of it, I think, is coming specifically after alt season. You have all of these people who have been in crypto for a while, and they make incredible gains. And, you know, at this point, the cycle has happened several times, and crypto is a little bit more legitimate. And now you have to pay taxes on all of these transactions. But you want to protect yourself, but you want to keep like earning some yield. So after alt season, people sell either back into Bitcoin or back into ETH, back into USDT. And now they have something they can do with all of their cash and actually earn yield on it, while still protecting themselves to make sure they have principal when taxes come around. And so like that entire narrative that I'm like thinking about is exhilarating to me.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking about it from like you know, well, you know, just the way that we kind of go about our lives. You know, you look forward to spring, you know, and like you get ready for spring, and you get everything set, and you tend to your beds, and you know, and you put a lot into that, and you wait for the last freeze, and then the sun comes out and things erupt out of the ground and it's beautiful. And you have a garden and you have vegetables and you keep on watering. Everybody's watering. Everybody's, and like that's alt season. Alt season is when people go out for those swings, those capital appreciations for the bounty that they've been harvesting, right? Like they've been getting ready for. And that's what alt season is. It's people running everywhere, a lot of activity. Think like farmers market. You're basically like, yeah, cool, this is it. And then you got to have enough for winter. And you want to be able to take those gains, that capital appreciation, that trading, those wild swings, and you want to go back to the things that you're comfortable with. And hopefully you end up in a better situation than when you started it that season. And then you want to put that stuff in a safe place. Keep it for the winter, be able to get through the winter, and then to be able to pay your taxes. Because you're paying your taxes right now. You're not paying your taxes with your gains that you're getting in alt season right now. That's from last year. So, I mean, I think it is a really natural fit for the way that money should flow and probably will flow based on human behavior and the way that we like to do things. So let's talk about Wi-Fi. What do we think this is going to be something that really catches a lot of attention at the opening of DeFi summer?
Yeah.
Like Wi-Fi is designed to just eat DeFi. Like it's basically a yield optimizer. So you do like Ro said, and you put your stables or your Bitcoin or your ETH into a vault that is basically then, or you put it into vaults that are used for strategies to generate optimize further yield. And it's supposed to be in such a way to where it's capturing the most optimal yield that exists in the market. And then as that yield becomes less attractive, that it rotates into a better yield solution.
Yeah. It's so there's a ton of DeFi protocols, and all of these protocols earn yield in a bunch of different ways. The thing about Wi-Fi is that in my mind, it's like DeFi for dummies, because the people who are experts are going to be moving their funds into each individual DeFi platform or protocol that comes online and offers crazy high yields for days. And then they're going to pick up their capital, move on to the next. And that's just what these experts do. But for people who are interested in Wi-Fi, for instance, the masses, they can just deposit their funds into one of these vaults that Tyler alluded to, and essentially earn yield having somebody else do that, having somebody else in the Yearn ecosystem do that for them. There are fees involved. I think it's like a 2%, it's like a typical hedge fund, 2%, 20% on performance, 2% of assets, 20% on performance. And all those fees go back to Wi-Fi holders in the form of a treasury. Recently, they just did a buyback. So yeah, I've been digging a lot into Wi-Fi a ton, and I think they are really well positioned in the ecosystem. Not only because they were one of the first, but also because one of the partnerships they have with Curve, with Cream, with all these other DeFi platforms. You're getting airdrops, and it's a really robust ecosystem.
And they just launched Popsicle Finance, so now it's also has exposure on to BNB. So they're not just on it, like you're not just benefiting from like the Ethereum ecosystem.
And that Curve is the same way. They have like almost all of their vaults are associated with Curve, and Curve operates on Polygon, on BSC. It's multi-chain, and so Wi-Fi is super undervalued in my mind. And again, it comes back to what they're offering, what DeFi is offering. It's the accessibility to have smart contracts, like highly technical smart contracts to the masses. And I think, you know, they're at, I don't even know how big they are at the moment, but maybe $1 billion. I would say that's really still undervalued. Also, you know, circulating supply is at 100%. They have a great community. Total value locked is over 3 billion, I want to say. So they're crushing it. But we do have a pretty decent exposure to it already in our portfolio. So a couple other names I'm just going to throw out there. I've already mentioned it once, but Curve is another DeFi platform that is almost the basis of Yearn. Like Yearn is an optimizer and an aggregator, but you go to Curve to actually earn the and that's the one they partner with the most, the protocol they partner with the most. And one of the benefits of Curve is you can lock up your Curve for anywhere from like 1 week to 4 years. And depending on how long you lock it up for, you get an associated amount of VE Curve, which entitles you to the to the fees that the Curve platform earns just by all the transactions that go there. And so you actually get to earn dollars as a result of locking up your Curve for an extended period of time, which you can do through Yearn's ecosystem. So there's just so many synergies between those two companies, protocols, that it might make sense to just buy some Curve. And by having YV or VE Curve, you also get access to several airdrops along the way. So there's that benefit. Another one I know Tyler was talked about in the past is ZRX. If we want to get exposure to ZRX as kind of the basis of a lot of DeFi protocols, the back end of a lot of DeFi protocols. Another one, which is smaller than the ones I've already mentioned, is Rook. You know, Suzu referenced that, but it's since sold off a good bit. And I think, technically speaking, that's the one I'm probably most bullish on, just in terms of risk reward entry. It is a 200 million market cap, and I don't know if it's on FTX, or I think it's on FTX, but I know it's not on Coinbase. But yeah, that one's another one. And then kind of randomly, Tyler, maybe you would be more familiar with this, but Tomo chain was something that kind of, I was just looking through these just all a bunch of names, and that kind of struck me as the chart was really beaten up, and it's really much, it's like now or never for it. Do you know anything about it?
So it's like Tomo Chain is one of those like in it for the tech blockchains, kind of like Digibyte, or like it's one of the big brain, like real smart, but like didn't do very good from like an advertising perspective. Every single one of these that you brought up looked great.
So we have, and we've actually got to wrap this up in just a few minutes, but we have just a little bit of dry powder that was generated from a recent engine level that we hit. So we're looking to redeploy this primarily because we believe that it's still early in alt season. We still find value in things that can run. You know, I think that we do have a position in Yearn. It is a relatively small position.
No, we have some more. We have some more on FTX or somewhere else.
Okay, so relative across the line. I mean, what is our exposure to DeFi, and what is our relative exposure in DeFi to Yearn?
We also have some Serum, which is DEX built on Solana's ecosystem. We have a tiny bit of Bancor. You can throw Lincoln into DeFi if you really want to, but I think that's its own sort of thing. Band is an Oracle as well, and then Sushi. So we do have some DeFi, but in terms of like pure DeFi plays, I would say Sushi, Serum, and Wi-Fi, and just a tiny bit of Bancor. We picked up a little bit of Badger in our ETH wallet the other day. So that definitely is additional exposure, probably similar to our Bancor positioning.
I mean, we could add to Badger. I mean, we're down close to 50% on that.
Yeah, I would not be opposed to that at all. But yeah, I think Badger was a little bit smaller. Maybe not. I think it's bigger than Rook, that's for sure.
So what do you guys
yeah.
I mean, where do you guys want to deploy this?
If we don't want to explore new names, then I'm all for Wi-Fi. But if we do, it's either probably Curve or ZRX for me.
For me, I would rather either just add to our Zcash position or put it in Litecoin to get like an immediate move to then rotate into other stuff. Like I feel like Litecoin's gonna move before Wi-Fi, but I would probably still go to Wi-Fi like before I wanted to move into a new position, just because of like, I guess, liquidity.
I actually like that. I mean, I'm changing my mind right now from what I've been thinking on all day, but just from this conversation, I'm very interested in an immediate Litecoin move. We do have a decent sized relative position in it, but like, I don't think what we're considering right now is this unanswered Doge effect. That, yeah, it's only been a couple of weeks, but man, that's interesting to me. I don't understand it. I don't know, but it's something. Something's going to whiplash, and yeah, I think the Litecoin. If you think about manufacturing a massive inflow of retail into crypto, you know, you got to be able to sell people Litecoin. Litecoin's easy to buy. You can buy Litecoin, and so I would be in favor of Litecoin. That seems really appealing to me. I think similarly with Zcash, but and Wi-Fi, I like those, but either we've got a large relative position or it'll be a while.
I definitely prefer Zcash to Litecoin. And I prefer, and this is biased because of my personal holdings, but I probably prefer Wi-Fi to Zcash. And again, that's primarily because price appreciation in Zcash already. It's already 3 times from not even the bottom, but just fairly recently. And why, again, like especially on a Bitcoin basis, you can see Zcash.
I can't believe I heard you say you preferred Wi-Fi to Zcash.
Oh well, again, it's all because my exposure. But yeah, I would say Zcash's chart on a Bitcoin basis has gone up much faster than Wi-Fi's chart. And in the last couple of days, Wi-Fi hit parity with Bitcoin for just a couple minutes. And I think when Wi-Fi breaks parity, that's going to, like, once people see, holy shit, there's an altcoin that's worth more than Bitcoin, that's just gonna create so much FOMO. I think that's gonna be people are gonna throw all of their Bitcoin into it.
I do believe in the whole like price elasticity thing, to where it's just like price can just go like way higher than people like even can realize. And if that happens, like, Wi-Fi could have a liquidity crisis near the top if nobody's selling. It's locked in vaults. There's demand. I mean, we could get 10 Bitcoin, 10 BTC Wi-Fi. I mean,
there's only 36,000 Wi-Fi. There's only 36,000 Wi-Fi.
And almost double the value locked in the protocol of the market cap.
So that's why my vote is still Wi-Fi. Yeah, and so like let's throw out the ZRX, Curve, and Rook. Let's just put them aside. But I think for me it's between Zcash or I guess Rishi, where do you stand now?
Zcash, Litecoin, and Yearn. I think if we're settling on one of those three, cool. We're not going to run into our Coinbase withdrawal lockup issue. All those are existing positions within, our current portfolio. So we won't have that. So that's good. That means we can make an immediate move. What we would be doing would be adding to existing positions. And, I think, and you guys can correct me, but I believe our Litecoin position is larger than our Yearn position. And, so from that standpoint, you can approach it and say, okay, well, we should pad our, what's that?
I think our Litecoin position is smaller than our Wi-Fi position, actually. You're on mute, man.
Can't hear.
I think we only have like a half-size position of Litecoin.
Yeah, I mean, relative to our, Zcash position, our Litecoin position is a third, approximately. So I just don't know where I would say
we have more
Zcash.
Wi-Fi off of Coinbase than we do on Coinbase.
Yeah. So are we heavier on Zcash or Yearn right now?
Zcash.
Okay. So, okay. Thanks. So, I mean, I think, go ahead, Tyler.
I was gonna say, why don't we just pull the excess funds on Coinbase into Litecoin and the excess funds off of Coinbase into Yearn? I don't know.
All right, so let's, I'm in favor of either just dumping this into one of these other positions. I mean, it doesn't make sense to pad Yearn, particularly, on this portfolio. Also, I'm bullish on Litecoin. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I think we could kind of hit some reactive knee-jerk, reaction with what's going on with, all the money generated to these miners. I think that something would be in the cards there, but then I also see the chart on Zcash, and that's a little bit larger position for us. So if we're going to pad anything, why don't we just pad that? That's where I'm at. I think after this whole discussion, I'm excited about everything. But you know that chart that you threw up at the very beginning with Zcash, just looking brutal. Yeah, I'm still feeling that, and I think in true Zcash form, shit, let's just pad that shit. So that's where I'm at.
Tyler?
I think that's what's gonna. I think holding Zcash is the safest move, because like you've got Zcash, you've got the people that are behind Zcash, you got the Zcash technology, but then you've got it now to where Zcash is going to be able to be used on Ethereum and smart contracts on Zcash and ICOs on Zcash and altcoins on Zcash. And we don't even know what Zcash is going to be capable of in a couple of years. And like Zcash is like NSA coin. It's got the back door for like, it's like kind of halfway private, it's like, and shielded I mean, like, I just think, and it's got the same supply as Bitcoin. I just
You're making me so happy right now.
I just think we should, like, let's just keep adding to the Zcash position. Take some of the liquidity off the books.
Look, they're making it available for us. But
we can buy freaking over 200 Zcash with one Bitcoin. That's stupid. That's stupid.
I also like who's holding. Think about it. I mean, who was holding Zcash 6 months ago? Who was holding it 2 years ago? Same people. Same people. We're all in this shit together. So, what happens, well, like, they're very patient people. The Zcash community, dude, just think about who they are. Okay. So like, I'm good. I'll pile in there.
Them are some tough dudes, man. To like
in it for the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say buying Zcash here is the equivalent of like buying Bitcoin around $500.
Damn. Did he just say that? All right. Cool. I'll go ahead and get that pushed through.
You want me to do that as well?
I don't know what that means.
From our Solana trigger?
No, I think let's just discuss this based on the ETC trigger that happened within this, and then we'll save that for another.
Okay, I thought we were discussing. Okay, that's
We have. Are we not? Is that not what we're doing? Did I misunderstand? Are we doing?
I thought we were going. I thought we were shoving.
Okay, so sorry, my bad. I was going off of the. I'm fine with whatever. I mean, we're talking about pennies here. So let's.
I just want to do it before Barry does it.
Right? Yeah, because it's coming.
Yeah, okay.
He's already pumping.
Yeah. All right. So let me understand. Hold on. Let me understand. So we hit some ETC stuff, right? We also hit some Solana stuff. Did we hit about the same? So, what I was looking at earlier, the number I dropped in our, let's see if I can find it. Yeah. So, if you guys see my message from this morning, we have up to that, available because we had some before these triggers hit as well. So I was under the impression we're talking about what we had before a little bit minus emergency, plus ETC benefits, right? And then we've also got I think the equivalent amount, right, through our Solana triggers.
A little bit less than that.
Okay, so we're talking. We're talking like, okay, around that. So that's a pretty good sized chunk. That would be about half here and half there. So yeah,
We're
if
talking
that's
about
what we
adding
want to
almost
do,
more than 50% of our existing Zcash position.
if we do everything. Okay. So we don't have any Zcash on your end, right?
Right.
All right. Yeah, I'm in favor of putting everything
All of
at
it.
both parts.
What about splitting it up between Zcash and Wi-Fi?
No, I don't want to do that. I would I don't know. I'd rather make one. If we're going to make a conviction move like this, I think, which is where we're at, doubling down on an existing position, I don't want to taint that.
So we made a conviction bet to start Zcash, or for us to
Zcash is
start all
conviction.
season with Zcash, and now we're doubling down on it. I love it. I love it.
I mean, look, you got to buy. You got to
We're
buy
either
the
going to be
dip.
some of the richest people in the world, like in a couple months or in a couple years.
I'm in favor of 100% putting a little bit of excess that we had plus the ETC benefits into Zcash on my end, and I'm in favor of also kind of treating the same Solana benefits, the same way on your end into Zcash. That's what I'd like to move forward with.
You guys good with that, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what it's like? It's like when you're a kid and you got a slingshot and you found the perfect little pebble and you pulled it back, just as far as like you felt like it should. And then you're like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. That's what it is.
I mean, this is a textbook entry. Like, I know it's went up a lot, but like, this is a textbook entry.
Yeah.
Well, so it hasn't crossed that resistance line. Or what on what time frame are you looking at then?
I'm looking at 3-day candles on BTC all time. And it looks like we have busted through it and we're retesting it, getting ready.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but okay, so this is like,
I'm looking at body tops, not wicks.
So this is one of those trades where we'll know pretty quickly if we're right or wrong. It's like we really shouldn't go down from here. Like we could, like worst.
Look at that volume. Look at that volume. I think we're good. Look at that.
Well,
volume.
This could be, hey, if we do it on both exchanges, this could be like when we moved our vault from Bitcoin to ETH. Like we could be fighting the good fight.
Damn. All right. Well, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's fucking go. Bro, you know what to do on your end.
Good.
I know what to do on my end. Everybody good? Let's get a thumbs up. Just make sure we're all happy.
Good.
Cool. All right, guys. It's been grand. We'll get the stuff done. I think it's going to be an exciting week. We'll be in touch, but the next time we sit here, I think it's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. Happy Earth Day, fellas.
Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
All right. See you guys.